So before we get into this video, I want to address the biggest elephant in the room, which was this past Friday night SmackDown segment with The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody, and Seth Rollins. Now, I didn't see anything wrong with what Roman Reigns called Seth Rollins a cross-dresser. I think my issue with the PC culture that we're living in right now is that we can never have nothing nice nowadays without anybody getting offended over something that's just a joke. So everybody is accusing The Rock and Roman Reigns of being transphobia because they call Seth Rollins a cross-dresser. You know, in the Attitude Era, this is probably the way of bringing it back in terms of calling everybody something that quote-unquote offends the PC culture, right? One of them tweeted that got them so heated to the point where they somehow tweeted that made them offended. Because to show you that if you say something that can piss off people on social media, it means that it's working. This is how you know that the Attitude Era is coming back. Not particularly, but they're sending out hints that it's a possibility that the Attitude Era is making us come back. But I'm not saying that it's confirmed or anything, but if it does, keep the women's division the way it is. No need to dress them as whores and prostitutes, because I did not like how they treated women wrestlers back in the day, the late 90s, in the early 2000s. The pillow matches, the bra and panties match, I couldn't take those matches seriously because it was just not wrestling. It showcases the stereotypical of how women portray themselves in the industry. That, I couldn't do it. However though, if you are going to bring back the Attitude Era, I would say edgy it up a bit. No need to have the bra and panties match because that's been played out for God knows how long. We don't need to see all of that in 2024. If it does come back. Because you know, they're going to have to talk with the sponsors and the networks and all of that, because the last thing they want to do is lose those type of sponsors because of them bringing back the Attitude Era. I mean, they already brought back blood, so you don't see them stopping every wrestling match just so they can stop the wrestlers from bleeding so they can continue on. They're just letting it flow and letting it play out. I guess that's the start. So shout out to WrestleMania for uploading this video, because there's some interesting stuff that we need to talk about in this video.
Guys, it is WrestleMania here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including a WWE trying to bring back the Attitude Era, a rumor on Brock Lesnar being back on the WWE roster, Roman Reigns' touching gesture to a cancer survivor, LA Knight shoots on main event push, is Rob Van Dam returning to WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new videos on WrestleMania Shorts. Now let's see the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at our WWE trying to bring back the Attitude Era. Now, our top story today takes a look at recent comments from current NXT commentator Booker T, who believes that WWE are trying to bring back the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era was one of the most successful time periods in wrestling.
Definitely
WWE
was.
firmly cemented themselves as a pop culture stable. Names such as Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock,
Undertaker,
Triple H, and Mick Foley all became known outside the WWE bubble, and it's an era that the majority of fans look back fondly on. According to WWE Hall of Famer Booker T on his Hall of Fame podcast, he believes that WWE is trying to get back to the Attitude Era, and the former world champion cites the Bloodline saga as well as The Rock returning to WWE as his justification.
Yeah.
To me though, the Attitude Era was the best era I think in wrestling of all time, but I do think that the WWE right now is trying to bring back to that just a little bit, of course with the Bloodline storyline, and of course now with The Rock coming back.
I kind of agree on this part, because ever since The Rock came back, the Bloodline storyline has been nothing but top notch ever since 2020 when Roman Reigns turned heel for the first time, and it's been his saving grace from his character in the WWE. From Vince McMahon trying to make him out to be the John Cena 2.0 to him being the mega top star as a heel. I feel like ever since he went heel, I took him more seriously as that legit character. From his rivalry with his cousin Jay Uso to having him join the bloodline along with Paul Heyman. And not only that, but Paul Heyman was definitely a saving grace for Roman Reigns' career in the WWE, because without that, he was completely garbage. From 2015 all the way up to 2020. Then the 2020s went on and he became even bigger with his rivalry with Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and now with Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, like among others, based on his heel work alone. So it does make sense for them to actually bring back the Attitude Era due to the bloodline in The Rock. Because when it comes to legends, they could just say whatever they want, but if you're a PG wrestler like someone like Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, and everybody else that have been in the company for years, you're not allowed to say or swear or do whatever just because. And I think that right there needs to change completely, because if you're gonna allow one wrestler from the Attitude Era to just come back in the PG era and just say whatever they want without being censored, you might as well just allow everybody, not just the Attitude, but the PG and the Ruthless Aggression era wrestlers, to just go out there and they want to say and allow them to be themselves. That's why you got Michael Cole and Pat McAfee on Raw that were allowed to be themselves, because during the Vince McMahon era, you're not allowed to say certain things. You're not allowed to say other wrestling promotions. Though, back in 2001, when Vince McMahon had this little invasion story when they brought out WCW, so they're allowed to say that back then, but they can't say other wrestling promotions like TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling. Although CM Punk did say that one time doing this iconic pipe bomb. If the Attitude Era does come back in the WWE, I wouldn't be surprised that some of the TV networks, NBC Universal, would have a problem with it, because it's a known PC network. But in all honesty, I feel like some of their programs does have TV 14 shows. So I don't understand why you wouldn't allow WWE to go to TV 14, which is needed, because a lot of wrestlers have been swearing a lot for the most part, and I think it's the perfect time to do it. So I kind of agree with what Booker T is saying.
TV every week, so Booker is seeing the day-to-day operations, and even though Booker is working in the NXT brand, he clearly has an insight on the way the WWE product is heading.
Yeah.
Now, it goes without saying that WWE are doing record business as things stand, so deviating away from what's working would make little sense. WWE will likely remain a PG product for the foreseeable future, as a PG presentation allows WWE to work closely with a wide range of sponsors. The PG product, while somewhat limiting, can be pushed when the time comes, as WWE are permitted to throw in the odd curse word here and there. Booker's focus is on the Bloodline storyline, which has been fully character-driven, and characters and character arcs were a key part of the Attitude Era, so perhaps that's what Booker is referring to with his recent comment. What do you guys think? Is WWE bringing back the Attitude Era? Let us know.
And like I said, if it does feels like they're trying to bring it back, I say do it. Because, for one, it's their company. Triple H is running WWE now, and he definitely made WWE feel great again. The product has been on fire ever since he took over in 2022, and now I feel as if it would be a perfect time to bring it back. Though, I would say the truth of the matter is that it's not going to work with the PC culture that we're living in right now, because if you say or do anything during a certain segments on Raw and SmackDown, or even NXT for that matter, you know the SJWs would be offended, like they got mad when Roman Reigns called Seth a crossdresser. Like, I didn't really understand why everybody was so mad about it. I mean, it's just a joke. It's a scripted program. It's not meant to be real.
Next up, Kenny Omega wants to wrestle top WWE star. On a recent Twitch stream, AEW executive Kenny Omega revealed that he would be interested in wrestling current WWE World Champion Seth Rollins. Boy, like, I'd love to do something with Seth, and because I'd love to. You know what I mean? It's like, how? I'd love to do something with Seth. Due to Omega and Rollins being in separate companies, a match right now is literally impossible. Yet one day it's entirely possible that the dream match goes down and fans finally see two of the brightest stars of the modern era collide 1v1. Next up, Paul Heyman reveals why he accepted the Hall of Fame nod. Now, this week it was announced that Paul Heyman would be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was reported that Heyman had previously turned the induction down, and during a recent interview with TMZ, Heyman revealed exactly why he turned it down and why now is the right time. According to the wise man, if he was previously inducted whilst managing Brock Lesnar, his acclaimed work as part of the Bloodline saga wouldn't have been included in his Hall of Fame resume. Heyman makes a great point here, as his work with the Bloodline has been outstanding, and it would have been a shame if Heyman's Hall of
I mean,
Fame
it kind of makes
speech
sense
wasn't
though.
able to discuss his work alongside Roman Reigns. Next up, a former US champion buries Seth Rollins' promo. A former WCW star, Conan, is never one to shy away from his opinions on modern wrestling, and the latest edition of Keeping It 100 was no exception. Conan had a brutal take on Seth Rollins' promo from this week's Raw, and Conan, like many WWE fans, wasn't
Oh
a
yeah, I
fan
know
of
what
the
you mean.
diarrhea Dwayne line. You got good star power leading into WrestleMania, just part of a great storyline, and I think people were waiting to see what they were going to say after The Rock doubly annihilated both of them on Friday. And it just felt for such a cool character to say such a corny elementary school line, then
Oh
worse the
yeah. You know, I kind of agree with what he said though because I'm trying to figure out what the hell was Seth Rollins thinking with that line. You know, diarrhea rock. Like that was just so corny, and it was pretty much unoriginal, and it was pretty bad because I get it. WWE is a family friendly brand, but it's the fact that you would say that just to get a rise at the Rock. It's not working, bro. Seth Rollins is better than this. So I don't know who wrote that script, but it was one of those moments where WWE is messing up right now because of that one line alone. So I kind of agree on his take and his opinions on this. Like, if you want to take a character seriously, stop with the corniness. I get it, it's a PG show, but goddamn, bro, like, stop with the corniness.
a fan. I mean, who checked off on that? Did he not run that by? And then Drew buried him on Twitter. Did you see that? That was hilarious. He was savage. I was so effing disappointed at that line. Next up,
I
Okada
agree.
wanted to wrestle at WrestleMania. And it's formally announced this week that legendary wrestler Kazuchika Okada has signed with AEW. There's been speculation that Okada could have potentially signed with the WWE, yet he eventually decided to sign for AEW, a promotion he had worked with in the past. The Sports Illustrated offers some great insight into why Okada decided to sign with AEW.
I mean, of
And
course,
the
it's going
notable
to draw money
publication revealed
anyway.
that Okada was interested in wrestling at WrestleMania. Speaking with sources close to AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, Okada feels he will be given the best opportunity to succeed in AEW. WWE was a real consideration for Okada, and he loved the idea of being
Yeah,
part
I
of a
mean, WWE were
WrestleMania.
very
But in
close to
AEW,
signing him.
Okada is not forced to relocate, and he can continue living in Japan if he chooses. It also means he can partner with the Bucks and extend his rivalry with Kenny Omega. Okada wrestling at WrestleMania would have been a huge deal. Nevertheless, fans have high hopes for his AEW run, and it would be great to see.
Just imagine him and Shinsuke Nakamura having an interesting rivalry leading up to WrestleMania 41 next year, or whatever his contract with AEW is up. Can you honestly imagine both him and Shinsuke having one of the unique rivalries because they're both from New Japan Wrestling? So just imagine having two Japanese wrestlers in the WWE ring. Like, you know, it's gonna create star power, but it's gonna make money and draw people in. But I can understand him signing with AEW because it's money. And you know, they've been revamping with the new intro, with the new logo, and try to be like WWE. At some point, they're just running out of ideas and they can't even stay true to themselves. But I digress.
Page, MJF, Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe, and of course, his former arch-rival, Kenny Omega. Next up, Roman Reigns' touching gesture towards cancer survivor. The WWE during WrestleMania season have been putting focus on fans bringing signs to shows. Bringing signs to WWE shows has been a thing of the past, yet they have been actively encouraging it during WrestleMania season. This past week on SmackDown, a fan brought a sign that stated, "Acknowledge I'm in remission." Amazingly, Roman
I
Reigns
saw
saw the
that
sign
on
during his
Twitter.
entrance, and after taking a few seconds to read it, Reigns then performed his signature pose on the ring apron in a wholesome gesture that was clearly directed towards the fan. It's also believed that Reigns himself met the fan backstage and signed the sign, which must have been an incredible moment for both the
That's
lucky
tight though,
fan as
man.
well as
Like,
Reigns.
I like to touch on the tribal chief Roman Reigns' character for a moment, because I don't know if he broke character doing that, but you know that Joe, aka Roman Reigns, actually survived cancer. He previously battled cancer before he told everybody in 2019 that the cancer returned, and a few months later actually a year later, that he was in remission. So for me, that was like a stepping stone of him trying to become being in the Renaissance era for his character, of trying to be a light wrestler, but he was still being booed. He was still being treated like a John Cena 2.0. But thankfully, none of that has happened anymore. Now that Vince McMahon no longer with the company. TKO just said it themselves that he's not coming back in the WWE, even though he owns most of the percentage of the company. But still, he's not coming back to make certain changes, to run things. Like, he's out. So the Vince McMahon era and the McMahon era of the WWE is far from over. So the only thing you got people running Raw are Triple H and Nick Khan. The fact that Roman Reigns did such an incredible job of signing an autograph to a fan sign, he not only acknowledges the character, but as a touching tribute of him surviving cancer. So big ups to Roman Reigns on this one.
A former WWE champion, RVD, has made sporadic appearances in AEW over the past
The
12
Stone
months,
Man.
yet RVD took to Twitter last night and seemingly
love to get
implied
high
that he's
on
willing
weed.
to return to WWE. A fan asked RVD if he was going to make any WWE appearances, and RVD simply replied, "Sure." RVD last wrestled in WWE back in summer 2014. His last WWE match to date was a loss to current world champion Seth Rollins. Next up, frustration in WWE over upcoming title match. The Kabuki Warriors defend their tag titles against NXT Women's Champion Lyra Valkyrie and Tatum Paxley on this week's NXT.
How y'all feel about NXT so far? Let me know in the comments.
Conclusion, as the day before, WWE announced that Asuka and Kairi Sane would defend against Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler on the next edition of Raw. Now, according to Fightful, officials within NXT were very happy to have former NXT alumni Asuka and Sane on the show. However, there was said to be some frustration with them having the title defense already booked for an upcoming edition of Raw. Next up is Brock Lesnar back on the WWE
I heard about
roster.
this. I've seen this on Twitter. It was
Twitter users
everywhere. What was the point of them trying to get rid of Brock Lesnar in the first place? All because of what's going on with Vince McMahon. Like, there was literally little to no point of trying to erase it from the roster, from the 2K24 game, to completely erasing Brock Lesnar from the product forever, when he was literally having no involvement with Vince McMahon. I mean, supposedly he was, but he didn't really do no sexual harassments and none of that. All of that was on Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. So I don't understand what was the point of them trying to get rid of him if he had nothing to do with it. Just try to erase him from the roster and from the 2K24 game. It's going to do damage. Like, you're not doing any favors. I mean, I'm happy that he's back on the roster, but now I feel like you just wasted his time and career.
To the WWE roster page on their website. However, this isn't a recent addition, as Lesnar has been there all along, and he was never actually removed. Even though WWE have distanced themselves from Lesnar since the Vince McMahon lawsuit surfaced, he has remained listed as an active talent on the roster page, so unfortunately, nothing has changed in that regard. Next up, LA Knight shoots
Still.
on main event push. 2023 saw WWE push LA Knight drastically up the card, and LA reflected on the prior year during an interview with Gorilla Position. Shockingly, LA stated he believes he was pushed into a WWE title match with Roman Reigns too soon, and there should have been obstacles in the way. Maybe there should have been a little bit more of a climb on the way there, but at the same time, things were such a rapid pace. I think that it was almost kind of a, alright, well, we're just gonna throw him out there, sink or swim. Son of a bitch swam like crazy. So I think I'm also, getting my bearings as far as being a fan favorite, if you will. LA isn't alone in his opinion, as the consensus at the time.
Last year, LA Knight was on fire. He was literally on top, I think, during SummerSlam last year. And I felt like his character was more entertaining. The catchphrases were like iconic, and it was pretty much a catchy tone, from his promos, his segments, to him being a heel from NXT, to being a mega star in the roster. And I'm just so glad that they actually made him better in the roster than how he was before he debuted on SmackDown. He was with that fruity ass group. To me, LA Knight is another good character that I like from the main roster, in my opinion.
Far too soon. Whilst he has remained popular since his defeat to Reigns, the match could have waited until at least the Royal Rumble. Notwithstanding the criticism, it looks like LA is set for his first WrestleMania match in 4 weeks, and if reports and rumors are to be believed, LA is destined for a singles match with former WWE champion AJ Styles.
Shout out to WrestleMania once again for this fire video. My honest thoughts on what I just said in the beginning of the video, them possibly bringing back the Attitude Era if they wanted to, but we all know that that's not going to happen because of the networks, the sponsors, and the PG culture that we're living in, which sucks like crazy, unfortunately. Though they are hinting at certain points of that one day. I mean, they already brought back blood, so they're not gonna like completely stay and find wrestlers if they bleed one time, like how they did Batista when it went PG from the steel cage match with him and Jericho on SmackDown that I've seen a while back. So then they had to like stop the wrestlers from bleeding so they can continue on. So nowadays you don't really see that anymore. They're just allowing them to just go at it and just go with the flow, because blood sells and tells good stories in terms of like wrestling matches and all of that. But at the end of the day, I personally think they need to bring back the Attitude Era, but keep it more PG level at the same time. You don't need to go all AEW-ish in terms of like going through glass, and just don't make it gory. If they wanted to, I don't know, but that's just my honest opinion and my preference of what I want to happen if they were to bring back the Attitude Era. To quote that last wrestler's comments on Seth Rollins' promo, I still agree with him 100% on why he should never cut that trash, horrendous promo that he cut. It was just not funny at all. So at the end of the day, I think going into WrestleMania 40 this year, it's possible that they might do something shocking this year, but I highly doubt it's going to happen. But link to the original video will be down below, and I'm going to catch y'all.